Good morning. Welcome to your 30-minute yoga session. You'll probably be most comfortable with your shoes off today. And we're going to set up mostly on the floor today using a bolster and 3 blankets. If you have a yoga block, the yoga block will be helpful as well. And if you need to set up, if your knees bother you on the floor, you can always set up like Coach Antonio with his bench or 2 chairs facing each other and your bolster on top. So I'm going to have us get started on hands and knees to begin with. So we're going to come to hands and knees for a few rounds of cat-cow. You may be familiar with cat-cow. The knees are under the hips, the hands are under the shoulders. If you have any wrist issues, move your hands slightly forward of your shoulders. And we're going to start out by rounding the spine up to the sky, letting the head drop, pushing everything on the ground away. So push your ankles down, push the top of your feet and your shins down. And then let the spine relax. And as the spine relaxes, move your shoulder blades down your back and look forward with your chest, not with your neck. As you exhale, press down through your feet and shins, gather the belly toward the spine, start to round through the spine, and continue to press down as you let your head drop, let your shoulders release away from your ears. Then relax the spine towards the ground, draw the shoulder blades down your back, open your collarbones by turning the inner arm to outer arm. As you exhale, press the feet down, press the shins, gather the navel, round the spine, let the head drop, shoulders away from the ears. And then continue with your breath. So as you inhale, you relax the spine, draw the shoulder blades down, broaden your collarbone and chest. And as you exhale, you're pressing down so you can lift the abdomen, lift the spine, let the head and neck drop. And we'll do just a couple more, inhaling as you relax the spine, draw the shoulders down, pull the chest forward. Exhaling, press the feet and shins down, gather the lower belly, lift the spine towards the sky, let your head drop completely. And then we'll do one more, drawing the shoulder blades down as the sternum pulls forward. And as you exhale, press the feet and shins, gather the belly, round through the spine. Now keep your spine rounded and sink your buttocks back toward your heels, any amount that's comfortable. Keep pushing the shins down, and just before your buttocks touches your heels, inhale, come back up. And begin again to draw the shoulder blades down, chest forward. As you exhale, press the feet and shins, push everything on the ground away, gather the belly, and move the buttocks towards the feet. And just before your buttocks touches down, you come right back up. From inner arm to outer arm, shoulder blades down, chest pulls forward. Don't lead with the neck, lead with the chest. And then as you press your hands and feet down, shins down, gather the belly, and one more time, you sink your hips back. And this time you're going to sink back a little bit deeper. Then inhale, coming forward to hands and knees. Now you're going to take your bolster, and you're going to bring it in front of you, under your hands and knees. Take one blanket and fold it in half. So if you're using the bench or 2 chairs facing each other, you can do this on top of the bench so your knees are bent and feet are on the floor. You're also going to take a second blanket, and you're going to put this blanket underneath your buttock bones. So we place the blanket under the buttock bones just to give the buttocks something to ground down to. And then you're going to open your knees just a little wider than your hip distance. Pull that bolster in a little bit between the inner knees, not very far. Don't open the knees much wider than, slightly wider than hip distance. Keep the buttocks down, and you're going to begin to walk forward with your hands on top of the bolster. Slide your arms forward to extend the sides of your trunk, even though the buttocks is staying down. And then you're going to bring the blanket right under your forehead and cross your elbows and hold your elbows. Rest your forehead down on the blanket or on your forearms. So ideally, even if you're flexible and you can go lower, we're using this to help get extension of the spine that's supported. So you can have your forearms under your forehead on top of the blanket. Forearms under the forehead on top of the blanket. Then rest your head and notice how it feels as you anchor the buttocks back and extend, letting your abdomen soften. As the abdomen softens, feel the sides of your waist getting longer through the elbows, the armpit area open. And I want you to focus for a moment on just softening the muscles of your face. Allow the muscles of the face to soften and begin to feel the breath flowing in and out of your nose. And breathe into the back of your body. Notice how it feels as the breath moves into the back of the body, the back of your rib cage, your upper back. And now feel how the breath moves through the whole circumference of your trunk. You feel the breath move into the sides of your ribs. So the breath is moving outwardly. Feel the breath as if it's moving through a whole cylinder now. So you can feel the breath in the front of the body, sides of the body, and the back of the body. And begin to feel an awareness of your back muscles between your ribs, the intercostal muscles. As you exhale, they soften into the body. As you breathe in, feel the expansion of your ribs without tensing your jaw or your throat or your tongue. And as you exhale, feel the back of the body releasing towards the front of the body. I'm going to give you a few moments just to sense and feel your own breath in your own pace. You're not trying to force the breath. You're just observing the breath. Observing how the breath feels in your nostrils. Observing how the breath feels in the trunk. And can you allow the breath to move down into your hips and to your groins? And watch the exhalation soften everything. And softening further the muscles of your face, the inner and outer corners of your eyes, tongue, jaw, and the throat. And even though you're listening to the sound of my voice, allow the ears to soften inward. And sense the effect of watching the breath on your mind, the brain, and the muscles of the face. We'll just take a few more long cycles of breath here. All this time that you've been working on enhancing your physical strength, your flexibility, your endurance. And even though it might feel like you're not moving right now, the body is quite still. The breath is moving the body, and you're quieting the mind. The physical body is being opened by the support beneath you. And it trains the nervous system to recuperate. So we go from pushing ourselves, which brings our adrenaline, our cortisol levels up, and it gives us a sense of movement in the fight or flight kind of experience. And now we're asking the body to rest and digest. So this is another part of the nervous system that we're accessing to support our health and our well-being. Now take your time as you slowly start to walk your hands beside your chest or under your shoulders And looking down still, press the ground away, let your head come up last. Making your way up. Pause once you're upright. Notice the effects of where you just were. We're going to take the blanket out from under the sitting bones off to the side. And then you're just going to bring your knees back behind your bolster a little. And you're going to straighten one leg, toes curled under on the floor, and reach back through your heel. So you can use the floor to help stretch and open the back of the knee. And as you reach the heel back, extend through the crown of your head so the head is in line with the rest of your spine. And from the inner arms to outer arms, draw your shoulder blades down. Notice if you're leaning off to the left side or the right side, just look for the center. Feel that both hips square down and slightly draw the navel toward the spine as you pull the chest forward slightly, with the back of the neck being long. So it's almost as if you're in a half plank position. And then go ahead and bend that knee and extend the other leg, curling the toes under on the floor. And reaching back through the heel, open the back of the knee, square the hip, draw the pubic bone slightly toward the navel toward the spine, just slightly. From the inner arms to outer arms, and draw your shoulder blades down, the back of the neck long. If you're leaning to one side, just notice and try to square your trunk forward. And then we're going to come back down onto the knees or onto the chair setup or bench setup. So you're going to bring your knees back into position, just slightly wider than the bolster. So I'm going to turn forward so you can be sure to see how that looks. So we have a little bit wider than the hips, that's all. And then you're going to have your bolster in front of you, but you're going to take it to the diagonal. And you may use a yoga block here. So I'm going to show you a setup because it depends on how long your bolster is. So I'm going to take the bolster now off on top of my right thigh. So with the bolster on top of the right thigh, if the bolster's shorter in length, you may need to extend it, and you can use your yoga block to extend it so that when you reach forward, your hands will be on the block. Now your blanket that you had as a pillow, just open it up, and you want it a little thinner than the width of your bolster. So I'm going to open this square folded blanket, and I'm going to accordion fold it into thirds. So if I fold it into a third fold, then I can put it down the center of this bolster setup, and I have room on the sides for my hand on the bolster. That's something that's helpful, but not completely necessary if you don't have a thin enough blanket. You're just going to move that blanket forward anyway. It's going to go for your forehead to rest on. So I'm going to start by putting that another blanket or towel under the buttocks. So take your blanket, your big toes are touching, your heels are a little apart, and you sit up on that blanket. So that blanket is under your buttock bones on top of your heels. Then you're going to lift your spine in the center as you inhale. As you exhale, turn towards the right leg and put your hands on top of your bolster. Now you're going to move your left leg slightly to the left, just a little bit out to the side. And then you're going to lift the spine, turn the abdomen toward the bolster, toward the direction of your right knee. Slide your hands down the bolster, but keep the buttocks rooted. And then as you walk your hands forward, they may lengthen longer than your bolster. That's okay. You can either use the floor or use a block if you have it in front of you. And then move your blanket forward so you can rest your forehead. And that way your nose will be free as you rest in this pose. Now this is really great to do on a bench and have a chair off to the side. That is very helpful to get the side extension. Now resting the forehead down, you're going to notice that you're off to the diagonal. The buttocks is staying rooted on both sides as much as is possible. And notice that even though you're going off to the side, you're trying to lengthen both sides of your waist equally. So use the arms to try to get more extension, more length through the side of the body. And as you're going off to the right side, you may notice that the right side is shorter or tighter. So look to lift the abdomen slightly, turn towards the right, and then extend a little further forward. Now, as we breathe here, this is an asymmetrical position. So it may be harder to feel your breath on the right side. And I'm going to ask you to begin to feel the sensation of air as it's passing in and out of your nose. Feel how it's moving through the sides of your spine, the sides of your trunk. And see if you can invite the breath to move equally into the sides of your chest. And again, breathing into that cylinder of the trunk. And as you watch the exhalation, feel the back of the body release towards the front of the body. Relax the muscles of the face, the tongue, the jaw, the throat. Let go of any gripping in the abdomen. And just enjoy being with your breath for these next few cycles. Feel that you can relax the back of your neck away from the back of your ear, letting go of any tension in the neck and shoulders. We'll be here for about 8 more long cycles of breath, just breathing in and out freely through your nose. Look to lengthen the inhale, lengthen the exhale without tensing your throat or your tongue. And feel your body completely release to the support underneath you. And at the end of your next long exhalation, please don't rush. Just take your time to slide your hands back under your shoulders and gently look down and push the ground away. Walk your hands up onto your support, sitting up on your heels, turn your trunk forward. Now we're going to take the setup to the other side. So you just move everything over to the other side. And bring your knees back into the center. And we're just going to stretch one leg at a time. Take the blanket out from under your buttocks. And then extending your leg back, just like we did before. Toes on the floor, reach back through the heel, extend through the crown of the head, open the back of your knee. Square the hips forward. Draw the navel slightly in, draw the shoulders down, crown of the head lengthens away from the heel. And then change sides. Lower that knee, extend the opposite leg, toes curled under on the floor, reach the heel back, draw the navel slightly to the spine, inner arms drop to outer arms so you can draw your shoulder blades down, sternum forward slightly, back of the neck nice and relaxed and long. And then you can release your knee to the ground. And we're going to set up the same thing on the other side. So you'll have your blanket for under your buttock bones. So you're going to have your feet together, knees separate. And then you can place that blanket on top of your heels under the buttock bones. Having your bolster now in front of you, moving it to that left diagonal. So the knees are a little bit wider than hip distance. You have your block in front if you need to lengthen your sofa cushion or your bolster. And then you have your blanket on top that's folded in thirds. And you can slide it forward because that's just going to be for your forehead to rest on. The bolster is slightly on top of your knee. And then you're going to open your right knee a little bit further to the right, just slightly. That'll help relax the groin and the abdomen. And then you're going to lift at the center. So start at the center to inhale and lift the spine. As you exhale, turn towards the bolster, towards that left knee. Slide your arms out as an extension of your waistline. And coming forward, lengthen. So be more concerned about the front of the body lengthening than folding down into a little ball. So you're going to lengthen the front of the spine, move your blanket forward as you get a little more length, and then let your forehead rest down on the blanket. So your nose should be free. You can use a towel if you don't have a blanket. Hold on to the extension of your bolster or your block. And if you don't have one, you just let your hands rest forward of the bolster. Arms ideally will be supported on top of your bolster. And then you're just going to look to elongate both sides of your waistline. And as you lengthen through both arms, both sides of the waist, then relax your neck away from your ears. And look to create an even feeling of breath through the right and the left side. Even though the left side feels a little bit shorter, if you can lengthen it, find the breath flowing fluidly through the right and the left side of your trunk, along the spine, sides of the waist. And feel an awareness of the two sides of the chest and how the air flows there as well. Then making a slight adjustment, since you've been here a moment, you just lift a little bit, turn your abdomen from right to left, turning your chest on top of that bolster, and going straight forward for a little bit more space, a little bit more length. Relaxing the shoulders and the neck. And just enjoying the sensation of breath, the feeling of the air as it passes in and out of your nostrils, through the cylinder of your trunk. Feeling the length of the spine, creating space within the vertebral column of your spine. And just giving yourself this moment to let the brain drop. The body can begin to release its tensions, any physical gripping or holding. We'll be here for about 8 long, slow, smooth breath cycles. If your mind is busy with thought, that's okay. You may just want to count the exhale as a count of 1. Count the exhale, count of 2. No count on the inhale. Just counting each exhalation and the softening of the back body towards the front body. the end of your next long exhalation, we're going to walk the hands under the shoulders and gently press the ground away. Look down as you lift yourself back up. Bring that right knee in a little bit, and then bring your legs back to the center. You can lift and remove the blanket from under your buttock bones. And you can set your bolster aside if you have a yoga block. And you may use your blanket that's folded in thirds, or you can use your bolster if you don't have a yoga block. So I'm going to show you first with the yoga block. We're going to have the one blanket under the buttock again and the knees apart. So you have the same position that you were sitting in a moment ago. And then you have a block, if you have a block. Otherwise, don't worry, you can use your bolster or another blanket or towel. But I want something that's about the height of my trunk space lifted from the floor. So the block is forward, the buttock bones are rooted down. I'm going to lift and extend the spine forward, and I'm going to use my left hand and I'm going to sweep my right arm under. And as I sweep my right arm under, I'm turning my chest so that my left shoulder rolls skyward. So I'm keeping my left hand as a prop. So I bend the elbow, and I'm on the fingertips to help me turn my trunk towards you. And the block is just simply there under my cheek, under my whole face. And I'm turning my chest open. So I'm not trying to sink down to the floor. Rather, I'm trying to push the ground away to turn the chest and revolve, even as the buttock stays rooted. Now, if this bothers your knees or you've had enough time on the knees, again, you can do this on two chairs together with your body over the two chairs, your feet on the floor and your knees bent with the back of the knees open. And as you breathe here, I want you to just feel where there's a feeling of space in the top ribs. And encourage your breath to move into the opening of that top lung. And relax your neck and relax your shoulders away from your ears. So the neck is long. The spine is extended, but the shoulders relax down the back away from the ear. And you're using that opposite arm as a support to continue to prop the revolve of the spine. And when you're using that hand as a prop, just turn the hand out a little bit. And notice how that helps you to release your shoulder down your back. So that the shoulder, if your hand is turned in toward your face, your shoulder will roll in toward your neck. So turn your hand out and roll the shoulder down the back away from the ear. And we'll just be here another breath or two. And feel the space in the back of the ribs, between the ribs. Breathing into that space without tension in the neck or the throat. Sometimes we can tend to over-breathe in, so we deeply breathe in and it tenses the accessory muscles of the neck and the throat. So you want to just let the breath come up towards your collarbones, not higher than that. You can feel the breath move to the top of the lungs. Now we're going to use that propped hand, that is your left hand if you've taken your right arm under. You press down and you look down as you slowly roll back up. And then you'll sit upright. Take a moment to feel the effects of the posture, particularly how your mind and body feel, including the left side, your right side of your rib cage, and spine. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So you walk your hands forward, buttock stays downward. You extend the spine by rolling the inner arms to outer arms, drawing your shoulders down. And you take your right hand as a prop on the right side, and the left hand is going to swoop under as you bring your left shoulder towards the ground, your cheek on the block or on your bolster, whichever you're using. And you're using that right hand to prop you, and you're bringing the shoulder more under you to the midline. The shoulder that's on the ground is trying to come in line with that block as you prop yourself and turn your chest open. And then notice if you're also lifting your hip up, and try to relax both buttock bones down into the support again. And then relax through the muscles of the face. Breathe into the openness of the upper rib cage. The side that's turned upward toward the ceiling has a little bit more freedom for your breath to flow there. And then noticing the side that's closest to the ground and encouraging your breath to soften those muscles as you exhale. Release any tension in the neck, the throat. And if it's bothering your knees for any reason, you can always come out of the pose earlier. It's not about no pain, no gain. So listen and pay attention to how your body feels. You can always do this position from a cross-legged position if it feels better, or just being up on the knees with the buttocks a little higher. And then we're going to use that propped hand to help lift this back up, pressing down, looking down as you slide your arm back out to the side, and then coming up, sitting all the way upright. Take a moment just to sense and feel the two sides of your body, the center of your body, the breath flowing in and out. Now we're going to come up off of the blanket that's under the buttocks, set it aside, and you can stretch out your legs again. So stretch one leg back, hands under the shoulders or slightly forward of the shoulders, looking for that half plank position. There's not a whole lot of effort here now. The hips are squaring the ground, the navel's slightly in, shoulders gently drawn down. So nothing's really hardened, but as you reach back through that heel, lift the top of the thigh so that the hip is not collapsing down to the ground or the thigh is not collapsing. And you can square the hips. And then change legs when you're ready. And just continue to follow your breath as it moves in and out of your body. And then when you bring that knee back down, we're going to curl both toes under on the floor. And we're going to walk our hands back towards our knees, but at the same time, we're going to lift our knees, drawing the belly toward the spine. And you're going to let your head and neck release. Your feet are about sit bone distance or a little bit wider. If your hamstrings are tight, take your feet a little wider. Let your head and neck release completely down. Let your arms release completely down. There's a slight bend in your knees so that your trunk is folding over the top thighs. And then as you push down through your feet, like a rag doll, just let everything slowly roll up. Draw the navel in for support slightly, and then rolling up to stand. Now, if you have a chair or a sofa nearby, we're going to use it for support. We're also going to use a wall. So you can find a wall, and I'm going to show you the setup first with the chair against the wall. And then we're going to use the bolster as well. So you can have your bolster like this through the chair if there's no back of the chair, or you can just have it across the front end of the chair, or you're just using your sofa as your chair, and you can put your bolster on top of the sofa. So if you were using your sofa cushion, just stack another sofa cushion on top if you need more height. Now we're going to put the buttocks against the wall. I'm going to turn the screen slightly so you can see it a little bit better. So we're going to put the buttocks against the wall, and we're going to walk our feet forward about 2 feet from the wall. So you can see that my legs are at a diagonal, and my feet are going to be as a little bit wider than hip distance, all the 10 toes pointing forward, and keeping the buttocks on the wall. And then you can let your buttocks roll up the wall. So see how the pelvis is wrapping over the top of the thighs. The buttock bones climbs up the wall, and the legs stay straight. You lift your kneecaps, and you bring your hands through the back of your chair or onto your sofa, and you look to rest the forehead down. If you're not quite reaching down, then you can put your forearms under your forehead to add more height. If your face is completely flat on your bolster, then you don't need as much height, and you can remove the bolster and maybe just use a blanket on top of your chair, or let your head rest on top of your chair or on top of your sofa. If your arms don't have enough space to go forward and lengthen like mine are through the back of the chair, then just cross your arms rather, and hold your elbows. And let your elbows walk forward to give you that length. And then once again, just let the brain drop. Let the breath move through the sides of your trunk. Let the abdomen soften. If you're feeling really tight in the hamstrings, you can take your feet even wider apart. The goal is not to struggle, but to surrender so that you can attune to the sensation of your breath and the quieting of the mind. And continue to lift the kneecaps so that the more you're solidifying the legs, the more the spine has something to release from. And just take another 4 long cycles of breath here. If it's feeling extreme in the legs, you can always back out and come back in. And as you practice this over time, you can build up the amount of time you're resting in the pose. The legs are working, the spine is extending, but the mind should be able to begin to let go. And it may take practice. So I have us in the pose for about 2 minutes today, but you may practice up to 5 minutes. Now to come out of the pose, you're just going to slide your hands back one at a time. Use that hand for support as you slide the other hand back. And straighten your arms and pause with your back parallel to the ground, roughly parallel. So you feel the buttock bones are on the wall. Turn inner arm to outer arm, draw the front of the spine forward. Then when you stand up, you're just going to bring your hands to your hips. Keep your legs strong. Roll your buttocks down the wall and stand your back against the wall. And just rest there for a moment. Notice the effects of the posture. And then you can walk your feet back towards the wall to stand up. Now I'm going to, as I've been doing, leave you in a final resting pose. So for today, we're going to either use your sofa or your chair, or if you don't have a sofa or chair handy, then you can stack your blankets and your bolster. We're going to put that in front of you, and you're going to recline with your legs over the chair. So it's a very simple, supported posture that really feels great after the work we did today. You take your legs over the back of the sofa or the front of the sofa or the chair and pull yourself in nice and close to that so that your knees are roughly over your hips. You take one of your blankets, if you have a free one, and place it, fold it in half under your head. So this lifts your forehead slightly above the level of your chin, which will help your shoulders drop, especially if they're tight. And then you can turn the arms open, tuck the shoulders under your back, so the chest feels open and uplifted. And then you close your eyes. And you'll just sense the ground beneath you. So notice the contact points between the back of your head and the ground. Have your pillow all the way under your neck, up to your shoulders, but not under the shoulders. And feel the back of the neck where it's supported. Feel the corners of the shoulders dropping back, palms turned open. And just for good measure, shimmy one shoulder blade at a time down your back away from your ears. Feel how the shoulder blade props the chest up slightly, and then you relax into that support. Allow the abdomen to soften, and the legs to be relaxed. Now, if you have long legs and you're quite tall, you can always put your bolster under your calves, so your knees can be just right level and the knees right over the hips. So you can always add more support to make the pose even more comfortable. You can stay in this position anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, even 20 minutes. It's a great pose to do at the end of the day when you're trying to unwind as well. So for now, I'm going to leave you to surrender here at least 5 minutes if you have that time. And as you do, soften through the muscles of the face, the inner and outer corners of your eyes. Swallow and let your tongue soften in your mouth. Allowing the bottom teeth to gently separate even though the mouth is closed. And allow yourself to sense and feel an awareness of each and every exhalation that passes through. Just let your mind follow the exhalation.